Hello and welcome to another Your Partnerships, and we're meeting today Simon Hall and Linda Hall. Thank you so much for coming down to the studios, and they're going to tell us all about what they do. It's easy if you remember the name of your company, isn't it? So it is Simon Hall's Will Writers. And just personally, before I shut up, is for me personally, we've had a death in the family not too long ago. We've had a few, like most families, and just having that lasting power of attorney in place. We had one for both financial and all your medical stuff and everything, and then the will itself and all those things. It's hard enough as it is. Even not being funny, even with those things in place, it's still hard. Without those things in place, it's near impossible, and you're at the mercy of whatever they want to do with you. To be quite frankly, especially during the situation we had so long of medical. If you don't have that medical thing in place, you're just, they don't even want to talk to you. Anyway, enough about that. But I just want to set the scene about I personally, understand so much how important it is to have those things in place in your personal life, but also in your business. And that's what I think a lot of people think, forget to think about as well. So I'll start with Simon. So Simon, tell me a little bit about, your journey and how it all started. And I know you're a big man of ethics and how you run your business that way as well.
Yes, it's fair to say, Brock, that I returned to self-employment. I was self-employed actually, tender age of 16. I know probably to you, it's only a few months ago. But through that, my life, I realized the more I matured, the more I realized what I wanted and what I didn't want to do. But one of the most important things was living by my own moral code. And it's not just within life, it's actually in business, doing things properly and by the right way for people and how to help people. And it came to starting this business. This was not planned. It was not on my top of my career as advisor saying, you need to be a will writer and talk about death, Simon. Far from it. It was something that happened because another business of mine was unfortunately failing. And I was not prepared to accept its failure. But what I was prepared to do was keep my mind open to what's going to happen next. So November, it was in 2018 when it all started. Someone approached me online through LinkedIn. I thought, don't want to do that. But then, of course, you think about it, don't you? What do I do about that then? And of course, the skills, I've felt that an awful lot with the public in lots and lots of different ways. And I've had that life journey, which I can hopefully associate with many people I can talk to help build that relationship and, in essence, talk about a subject that most people just don't want to talk about. And that's how it started 6 years ago. I didn't see the company expanding. I didn't know Linda was going to come into my life. And I didn't know we were going to develop a team of will writers right across the Southwest.
Excellent. And speaking of Linda, so the glue holding it together, is that okay to say?
Absolutely, yeah, I'll accept that.
So yeah, what's the journey like so far for you, and what would you like to have?
Busy, incredibly busy, but we are keeping up with things. My role's mainly admin, but the nurturing, checking in on people, checking a year after that their will and plans are still fit for purpose.
You mentioned that when we were talking beforehand about annual checkups, because I know a lot of people in your industry don't do that. And you also mentioned about you do most of as much as possible face to face as well. So yeah, tell a little bit about how that whole.
It's very much about building a relationship with someone, Brock. I mean, one of the first things we meet people, I always make the joke, is I'll rather visit them in their home and drink their tea and coffee, or they're on their sofa like we're doing today.
A piece of cake if they've got it.
A piece of cake, yes. Diet permitting, of course. And it's about building that relationship, but enabling them to feel a bit more relaxed about this conversation, which many people dread. There is nobody I've dealt with so far that simply just woke up on a sunny morning and thought, it's time to consider death. It's because something happened in their life, just like yourself.
Yep.
Obviously, with your family bereavement and all those things. But you also know, because you got those things in place, it's made that journey, albeit painful, much, much easier.
Yeah, you're dealing with enough already. I mean, if you don't have that in place, then it is push you over the top, to be quite honest with you.
It's true. And so when I go to see anyone, it is about education. And I make this point, I said, it's your choice whether you use our services or not. But my role is actually to educate you, to enable you to make an informed decision for yourself and your family. Whether it's a simple will, whether it's talking about lasting powers of attorney, protecting their assets through trusts and so on and so forth. It's giving them an option or choices, but also talking in a non-jargonized way, of course, because we deal with a very, very technical subject. And there's obviously it's law. And that means nothing when you're talking to someone, a lady, say, a mature lady sat there trying to explain to them the importance of getting this sorted. So yes, it's an education. It's about doing it at a point of building that relationship, but also working at a pace that they feel comfortable with.
And I know I've heard so many people that you've helped about how great your personal service is. Obviously my right hand Warren, you've helped him out, and he just
Sure has.
goes has gone over so many times about how easy the process was. Because let's face it, nobody wakes up, like you said, wake up on a Sunday, but nobody wakes up before they go into bed thinking, oh, I think I might die tomorrow. It's just not the process that you think of. But the unfortunate thing is, sorry, but none of us are getting out alive. So this is one of the things that you have to have.
It's true. And one of the things that people sometimes just don't realize, even if they have a very small estate, and sometimes these can cause the greatest challenges, no one knows how they're going to respond when someone close to them have passed away.
Yep.
More likely, it's also we don't know how the family
I was
as
about
a
to
whole,
say, it can tear a whole family apart.
It
really
does.
can.
It can be quite often. And there's no sort of every family's the same, everybody gets on with each other. That's the ideal world. And we live in a world which things are changing so much, aren't they, Linda?
We deal a lot with blended families, especially. That can be complicated. And also guardianship, putting that, something that some people don't even consider.
Massive. Speak on that, if you would, Linda, because people just assume that you're a couple, and if you both pass away, then it's grandparents. But it has to. There has to be instructions, doesn't it?
Yeah, it goes through local authority because they don't know that your relatives are fit or your friends. They've got to check that out, just like they would anybody else.
And then they decide.
Yes.
Not you decide.
No.
And that's the thing.
No.
I mean, we could talk about money and houses and estates, but your children.
Yeah,
I mean, you're leaving it to the state to decide.
Yeah. But if that's in your will, if you put it in your will, then it's covered.
It's true, actually. There are three key questions I ask at the start of every appointment. The first one is, what do you want to achieve from a meeting today? The second one's a very practical question. How important is it for you to sort this out? So I'm going to get their head around that. The third one, they're not expecting. The third one is this. On a day-to-day basis, what do you value? What do you cherish? What's important to you in your life as you live?
Yep.
This quite often causes a long pause because all they thought was about taking instructions. It's not about that. It's about life. And majority, if not everyone, will always talk about family.
Yep.
We'll talk about their spouse, their partner, their children, their grandchildren, whoever it is. It's about people. It's not about things.
It is absolutely. And the thing is, when we go through those things, we think about, it's just the typical thing of where's the bricks and mortar going at, those type of things. But it's also important, and that's why I can't stress enough about even the lasting powers of attorney, because it's just when you go through that, if you've got a family member that's going through illness for quite some time, if you don't have that, they just you don't have the power to talk to them, or when they lose capacity, for example, with finances and all of those things.
It's true. People quite think because you're married, you have a certain amount of power to support each other.
I don't have any power.
Unlucky or lucky you. But of course, you have this bond because of your spouse.
Yes.
But lasting power of attorney has greater power, it overrides that. And even to the point, a really simple example, if you had a couple, and say the husband had a heart attack or a stroke and couldn't do things, loses capacity, they have a joint bank account. That bank account will be frozen. Regardless. Having a lasting power of attorney stops all that heartache, all that frustration. And it's very much about empowering that person, that individual, to maintain, wherever possible, their independent decision-making, their independent living, and ideally to facilitate that in a way that the people that are closer to them, they know them the best, who can help them to achieve that.
I personally know of a family that probably asset-wise maybe 4 or 5 million in housing and properties and everything like that. Dad died, no will, nothing. The family
Yeah.
almost went completely bankrupt, and it tore the family completely apart, as you can imagine. So, and then what would it cost them? You know, even for that multitude of stuff, maybe £1,000 at the most.
Yeah, everything's dependent on what you want to do with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not about me saying you must protect this or you must save that. It's about people's own moral code themselves of what's important. For some, actually leaving nothing or having it swallowed up in inheritance tax is not an issue. For others, they really want to hold on so tightly because them as a family unit may have worked so hard to achieve what they have, and they are desperate to hold on. But if you do anything like that, you have to plan it in advance.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to have to wrap it up in a second. Linda, did we miss anything?
The one thing you didn't mention was exclusions. That's something else we deal with as well.
True.
Yeah. You want to explain that?
Yeah, if you want to. When exclusions, it's not a dental term, by the way, Brock, okay? Just exclusions, because of families always don't quite see eye to eye. Exclusions within wills are generally for estranged spouses and disinherited children, which is far more common than one would realise. And to go through that route, you have to think really, really carefully before doing that, because of obviously that will being challenged. And as I said, when you pass away, you cannot talk.
Nope. You're done. You're done. Absolutely. Well, thank you for being out here with us today. With the video itself, obviously, there'll be all the connections of how to get a hold of you. And also, you know, I encourage everybody to watch it to reach out. Just have a conversation. Because if they, I think, without a doubt, you know this already, but people are scared to talk to you because, number one, it's a taboo subject about dying.
Yeah.
They're also scared to talk because they don't realize the price. And they, you know, they need to know that, and it's very affordable. And I know that you help people out as much as you can.
Yeah.
So they need to just have start that conversation, and then you're educated, as you said.
Yep.
And then you can decide what's best for you. And people don't have to do everything at once. They could do a little bit here and a little bit there. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
we do. We'll edit that out.
It is all about a journey, which they're very much in control of. Our role was enable them to make the decisions in a way that's suitable for them.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming out here today. We want to say thank you to Corker Media for having us out here.
Yes.
What do you think of the studio? It's all right out here, isn't it?
It's really nice.
Great studio, lovely.
Fabulous.
Good stuff. And I found out you used to run a pub up the road. So
I did.
That's another story.
That's many stories.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we'll talk about that once we're off set. Shane's behind the decks today. Thanks for taking care of us, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Cheers, bro.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks.